What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Quick 60, and today we're going to be going over the rest of the NFC North Division, topping out with my predictions on the top two spots, second place and first place this year for the 2021-2022 season. So it was a really hard decision for me, but in second place, I have the Minnesota Vikings going 10-7 this year, which is still a pretty good season. Better than last year when they went 7-9. Some key additions to the roster are Patrick Peterson to help shore up that defensive side of the ball. Sheldon Richardson, he should be a run stopper at defensive tackle. Stephen Weatherly, Mackenzie Alexander, Breland, and Ty Smith. They also drafted first round Christian Darrisaw, which I think was a great pickup on the offensive line. He'll be a plug-in at left tackle for them for many years to come. You know, their offensive line, I think, is kind of subpar on the offensive side of the ball. And they also drafted Kellen Mond in the third round. So some key losses that they had this past offseason were mainly safety Anthony Harris. He left. That's a big blow to their defense. Kyle Rudolph, Shamar Stephen, Eric Wilson, Mike Hughes, and then Mike Boone went to Denver to be the backup running back or third string running back. You know, and it was hard, obviously. I chose the Bears as my number one prediction for the division champion in the NFC North. But it was really just, would you rather have the offense or the defense? And you always take the defense more times than not. And so, you know, the offense of the Minnesota Vikings is stellar. They had Kirk Cousins. He actually, since 2015, I believe, has the highest completion percentage more than any other quarterback in the NFL. He threw for 4,200 yards, 35 touchdowns, 13 interceptions last season. So, you know, he's doing his part at quarterback. You know, Adam Thielen, he's there still. He's sure-handed. And then you had breakout star Justin Jefferson. He had 1,400 yards and 7 touchdowns as well. So, you know, they're going to be dynamic on offense. They had Dalvin Cook. He has 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns. Like I said, they drafted Darrisaw. And I also heard in the latest podcast that they're going to be using 12 personnel with Irv Smith and Conklin, 2 tight end sets more often this year under Clint Kubiak. So, you know, Kubiak's, you love to use their tight end, love the zone scheme, stuff like that. So we'll see what happens, but their offense is definitely going to be dynamic. So like I said earlier, it's the defense that's the issue with the Minnesota Vikings. You know, Adam Zimmer, the defensive coordinator, he's going to have to shore up some things. They allowed 393 yards per game last season, which ranked 27th in the NFL. And your offense is going to have to be top 3 for sure if you're giving up that many yards per game on the defensive side of the ball, and it's a big task. They have Xavier Woods at the safety position. I don't know about him. They signed Patrick Peterson. He's getting older, but he should help on the defensive side. They have Anthony Barr, but they have Gladney and Dantzler at corner as well, and so, you know, I think that's going to hurt them on the secondary side, especially these pass-happy offenses. And the last reason that I'm choosing the Bears over the Vikings, and the Vikings are my number 2 spot in the NFC North this year, is because Matt Nagy has the Vikings number. I think he's 4-1 or 5-1 against them in his tenure at the Chicago Bears. And so, you know, that's a big predictor for me as well. And every team in the NFC North has to play one game against the AFC West, and the Vikings game is the Chargers, which that's a toss-up game. And then the Bears, they play the Raiders, which I think that they're going to win that game. So I think that's a game swing right there as well. All right, so I have the Minnesota Vikings finishing 10-7 and finishing second place barely in the NFC North. So in first place this year in the NFC North, I have the Chicago Bears. They finished 8-8 the last 2 years, made the playoffs last year at 8-8, but I have them going 11-6 this year. I think that they're going to improve from the last 2 years. I think that, you know, Matt Nagy is going to be a better coach. I think he's going to get more of his players this year as well. They drafted Justin Fields, you know, and Tevin Jenkins, the offensive tackle. Justin Fields, you know, they moved up to grab him, and he has the second best odds to win Offensive Rookie of the Year at plus 600. And right now, I think on the depth chart, official depth chart, he's listed 3rd, but he's the backup right now, and then Nick Foles, I believe, would be 3rd. They said Andy Dalton's a starter, so I think that Andy Dalton's going to start. And no, I don't think that Andy Dalton can lead them to the Super Bowl, but Andy Dalton did okay with Dallas, even though it was a better offense than the Bears have. But I think around week 8 or 9 when they play the 49ers at home, I think that'll be the time that Justin Fields comes in and takes over for Andy Dalton. Matt Nagy has to be very cautious with when he puts in Justin Fields, because honestly his career could ride on that, because that's his pick, his true drafted rookie quarterback. And so, Trubisky didn't work out when he got there, and so this is his guy, so he wants to be careful and cautious with them. So one of the reasons why I chose the Bears over the Vikings in a close, margin is because, for one, Matt Nagy's 5-1 career against the Vikings, like I mentioned earlier in the video. And then 2, he's a lot better than John Fox was with the Bears. His first 32 games, he's 20-12, while John Fox was 9-23. So I think that he's trending the Bears in the right direction. It's just the Packers have always been in the way with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. And this video is predicated upon, these predictions are predicated upon Aaron Rodgers not being there for the NFC North this year with the Green Bay Packers. If he is, this messes up the Vikings and Chicago Bears predictions, because that'll be an easy, possibly 2-game swing for both teams. So some key additions that they had this year, they were pretty active in free agency. Jermaine Ifedi, I think, is the biggest addition that they had. He can line up at guard or tackle, and he played 6 games last year at tackle. And they might need him at tackle this year, because they also added Elijah Wilkinson from Denver, and he wasn't very good on the Broncos, and so they might need Ifedi there as well as the right tackle. They also added Andy Dalton. So like I said, he's not on as potent offense as the Cowboys, but his defense is sure of a hell of a lot better than the Dallas Cowboys, so he's not going to be needed to do as much as he did in Dallas to be successful. They also added Angelo Blackson, Artie Burns, he'll probably be a nickel corner for them, Jeremiah Tachu, Elijah Wilkinson, Damian Williams, Desmond Trufant, Christian Jones, Marquise Goodwin, and Deshaun Gibson. Some key losses were they lost obviously Trubisky, Cordell Patterson, Brent Urban, and Mingo and Roy Harris. So, and obviously the Minnesota Vikings, I talked about their potent offense, and they have superstars all over the field on offense. But the Bears, they're not slouches either on offense. They have David Montgomery, who's pretty good. They have Allen Robinson, they re-signed, who has 102 catches last year for 1,250 yards and 6 touchdowns. They have my sleeper pick, if you're a fantasy person, I think Darnell Mooney is going to do really well this year. He had 61 catches for 630 yards and 4 touchdowns last season. So I think he's going to explode this season for around 75, 80 catches, around 800, 850 yards. So I think he's really going to improve from last year. And yes, while Andy Dalton isn't the super stellar quarterback, he is an improvement from Mitchell Trubisky. So they went 8-8 with that and Nick Foles. And so Andy Dalton is better than them. And so if they went 8-8 with them, I think that they're going to go better than 8-8 as well. And their defense is going to be a top 3 defense. It's going to be between the Broncos, the Rams, and the Bears having the top 3 defense. They have Akeem Hicks, Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith, Danny Trevathan, Robert Quinn. I mean, their front 7 is just super strong. Their corners, however, they lost corners in the offseason. They're going to have Desmond Trufant, Artie Burns, Eddie Jackson, and Jalen Johnson in the secondary. So, they lost Kyle Fuller, so we'll see how much that hurts them this year. I hope you like my videos. Guys, if you want to stay with me, keep watching, subscribe down below. I appreciate it. This was the NFC North predictions. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about it, what you think about your predictions for NFC North. Next week, I'm going to be going over the AFC North. That's the Quick 60, guys. Peace.